tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ooh, it is that time! Welcome, AfterBuzz family. You came to our door. We're buzzing you in. It's Selection Sunday!
Ooh, yeah!
It's a good time to be a sports fan. Welcome to AfterBuzz TV presents After Bracket, the buzz to the Final Four. I'm your host, McCall Hall. You can find me on social media when sports and pop culture collide at McCall Hall. And I'm joined today to help me break down these brackets with two very phenomenal folks. So I'm gonna just throw it to my left. Who do we have here?
Mike Conley, how you doing? Not on social media. I'm old school. You can catch me here on AfterBuzz TV. Isn't that crazy?
Really, no social media?
Patriots and Red Sox Raptors 60. I'm you know, it's crazy. I know you youngins can't wrap your head around it.
Yeah,
it's deteriorating our society.
You know, people from Boston don't do social media.
No.
It's not a Boston thing.
Not a Boston thing.
So we taking it from Boston to where?
Taking it to Virginia. What's up, everyone? I'm
VA.
Brandon London, the cultured athlete, at cultured athlete on all my social medias. I keep it one name.
Cultured athlete.
At cultured athlete.
Okay.
Ready to talk some basketball. This is actually my first time going on record talking basketball. I'm a football guy.
Okay, so you're a football guy. I'm a former D1 basketball player, you know, so this is what I do, right?
Okay.
But I unfortunately have never played in an NCAA tournament because we weren't that good. But I love to make the picks. So this is one of the most exciting times of the year.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got people who are diehard basketball fans, and you know they think that they know everything about the tournament. They think they can pick every winner. But, you know, it's usually that person at the office who has a cat and their cat makes the picks for them and they win the entire pot of money. Mm-hmm. But today, we're going to help you guys make the best picks possible. We're going to try to not be so biased here. But we're going to try to make some really good picks for you guys and help you fill out your bracket. So before you guys get started, before we tell you guys the picks and whatnot, make sure you follow us on social media at AfterBuzz TV across the board, Twitter, social media, Instagram, all that jazz. You can find us there. We're going to be using this very special hashtag as well, hashtag AfterBracket. So check this out. For the next 3 or 4 weeks, as the NCAA tournament goes on, I will be live tweeting from my Twitter account about all these different games. So if you have to talk smack to me because I made a terrible pick, you can probably find me using that After Bracket hashtag. And trust me, I have thick skin. So if you got to lay one on me, go ahead and lay it on me. Also, we have an official AfterBuzz TV bracket. So at the end of the show, we'll make sure it's in the section on YouTube. We'll make sure that you guys have the link. You can join our official AfterBuzz TV bracket group on ESPN.com. I'm not promising you a single prize if you win, but feel free, like I said, to talk a lot of smack on the internet. All right?
Everybody's playing for second.
And if you're going to dish it, be ready to get it.
If you're going to what?
Be ready to get it. If you're going to dish it, be ready to get it.
And take it.
No Twitter fingers.
No Twitter fingers.
No Twitter fingers.
No Twitter fingers. Well, let's get it started, you guys. We have a selection field of 68 folks picked already, and you know it's a fun time of the year. But of course, we have to talk about number ones. Everybody hypes up the number one, so let's get to it. The East number one is North Carolina,
UNC,
North Carolina,
home of Michael Jordan.
MJ,
Ooh.
Okay.
Carolina Blue.
What do you guys think about them as a number one pick for the East?
They're impressive. I mean, they definitely deserve the number one seed. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it seems like they have forwards for days that can come off the bench and come in and really play hard. It's the quintessential Roy Williams team where they just run out and try and get, points on the fast break. And if they don't they smash the boards hard. And he's got a team that really can excel in that type of game this year.
Yeah, they do.
They're tough.
They are tough. And what I see about them is they can play two styles of basketball. They can D up, they can play physical, or they can run.
Yeah.
You see guys like Justin Jackson, Bryce Johnson. These are guys who are athletic, who can run the court, and they play, like you said, they fit into a system well, which is a well-coached Roy Williams system.
And you can never sleep on Roy Williams. You know,
No,
when
never.
you think about NCAA basketball and you think about the heavyweight coaches, the coaches are almost, we were talking about this off air, the coaches are really the bigger stars.
Yeah.
The players are there for, you know, a year, maybe 4 years. The coaches are the stars. So Roy Williams, in my opinion, is an absolute institution. Roy Williams' coach team is a very difficult team to beat. So congratulations, North Carolina, Chapel Hill, another number one seed.
Congratulations. That's expected.
No,
That's
no.
expected. You just talked about coach prestige. You said Michael Jordan, the school prestige. UNC is, if you were saying Indiana, no, not even Indiana. If you were saying like a USC or a Hawaii was a number one seed, then you can say congratulations to that. But it's okay. You're supposed to be a number one seed in UNC.
I see your point. I'm just congratulatory.
Okay,
If you get a number one, if you get a number one seed, I'm gonna give you your props.
Okay.
It's a long season, so if you sustain and get a number one seed, it's congratulations. So I'm gonna congratulate everybody, whether you are supposed to be there or not. So
I'm going to go ahead and nitpick Roy Williams. I don't think he's that great.
you don't think he's that great?
Well, I wouldn't say it's just this one thing. He should put Isaiah Hicks in the starting lineup, put Meeks on the bench.
Well, they'll have, you know, if they go deep in the tournament, you never know. You might shake things
They
up.
won't. They'll have to play Kentucky.
You know, if you had Twitter, you could hit him up and tell him your thoughts. You know, that's what that's for.
That's more like
Excellent point.
some sophomore team manager who's tweeting for Roy Williams.
Nah, you'd be amazed the kind of things you learn off of Twitter. So representing the South, number one seed, Kansas. Kansas actually has the best overall record this season. They had 30 wins, which is very impressive. Everybody else is 20-something into the teens.
Yeah.
To get 30 wins, you got to be legit, right?
And to get 30 wins, you have to have an all-around good team.
Yeah.
Really good team. I mean, there's a guy, Perry Ellis is your star, but this team has depth, which a Kansas is supposed to have
course.
depth in recruiting and just the overall prestige of what we think of a Kansas basketball team. But they're fast, they're athletic, they're explosive, they're a good team to watch. Man, what a Big 12 championship game.
And they've got a young man by the name of Devontae Graham.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, I'm on the West Coast, so we don't get to see some of these guys, but I have had a chance to watch Devontae Graham. He can ball for days. Like, this kid has an official game on the offensive end. He's almost unstoppable. But that'll come into play as we get into this bracket because, I mean, a team has 5 players on the floor, all right?
He can D it up, too.
You think he can D it up?
Oh, he can D it up.
Defense wins
Devontae
championships.
He and Mason can both D it up. I just think that sometimes Mason and who's their other guy there? He's a Boston guy, too. Eldon?
I'll have to look it up. Well, either way,
Sorry.
I'm looking at it now.
don't worry about it. We'll make sure we get those stats to you. Again, congratulations.
Boston
I'm going to
guy.
offer congratulations to Kansas. Way to get that number one seed. The Midwest. Now, this one, a lot of people were shocked, but Virginia will be representing for the Midwest.
I'm a Virginia
you're a
guy.
Virginia boy.
I'm from Charlottesville.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell me from your heart, because I'm a little perplexed.
Okay.
I think the rest of the nation was perplexed this evening when Virginia was awarded this number one
Yeah.
seed.
Because of their history in tournaments. Virginia has constantly let me down, the state of Virginia down with early leave of absences from big tournaments in prior years. Could this be the year? I mean, I like to talk stars. Anthony Gill is your star, the best player on the team, but can he get them over the hump? Especially coming
Over
out
Malcolm
of,
Brogdon? Come on now.
I mean, but you look where they're coming from. I mean,
But
you play
player of the year
Hampton
in the
first, you play
ACC.
Butler, Iowa State.
They got a
this
great
is
draw.
This is your year. Then you have to nut up against Michigan State.
Oh,
then you
well, it's
have to
like
really
that.
nut up against Michigan State. But it's set up for Virginia to at least make it.
We keep it real here on the After Bracket,
Keep it so
okay?
real.
The buzz to the Final Four is not going to be easy, so we're keeping it real. You know, I'm really big on momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the one thing that shocked everybody about Virginia getting that number one seed is the fact that they lost in the ACC tourney.
See?
Yeah, I mean, you look at a team like Michigan State that won their conference in the regular season and won their conference tournament, and they're not a number one over
Yeah.
Virginia,
Yeah.
who didn't do either.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I can understand where the committee's coming from, because when you look at all the metrics and stuff that I don't really look at, I look at eye test. And to me, I'm old school. If you win your tournament and your conference in the regular season, you're an automatic number one.
And that has been history.
I have to.
But I will. This is maybe what you come back with. They do have the number 2 strength of schedule in all of basketball, and the number 3 RPI, I believe. So that's probably what kind of floated them.
I think that definitely supported. You know, they take that human part out of it, and they were just putting it in the computer. And the computer is going to break down the strength of schedule and whatnot. And that's, you know, the tiebreaker that got them over the hump.
But going back to what you were saying about since another team won their conference championship and such, you could win the Big Sky, win the conference championship, and then get into the dance. So Virginia has a proven body of work of beating teams with substance, ranked teams.
I mean, I was
such,
talking
like,
Power 5 conferences.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we're talking about your Pac-12s, your ACCs, your Big 12s, your Big 10s, your SECs. You know, no disrespect. Hey, do not come for me out there, Twitter world. I have respect for all the conferences, but I think it's been established that we have our big power conferences that we consider them first. I'm not saying it's fair. I didn't make the rules, but I am playing by them, all right? So congratulations to Virginia. I don't completely understand how you got a number 1 seed, but kudos. So moving on to the West, to the wild, wild West. Now let me give you guys a little bit of background. Your girl, McCall Hall, proud alumni of the University of Washington. But before I went to the University of Washington, I went to the University of Oregon and had the time of my life. I ran Eugene, Oregon. So to see my Ducks make it to the tourney is amazing. But to see them get a number 1, I'm smiling from ear to ear. So I'm gonna go last and really give a glimpse to the Ducks. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think it's deserved? And what do you guys feel about the Pac-12 overall? Because the Pac-12 has 7 teams in the NCAA tournament this year.
I feel like Oregon definitely deserved it. With 28-6 on the year, they're flashy. They have a good style of basketball. It's good that it's their first time making it to the tourney. Having the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
It's set up for them to go far, but they're going to lose to Texas A&M.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that later.
I'm ready to talk. I'm ready.
I do like Oregon. You know, they've really kind of flown out of the radar, under the radar. If a number 1 seed can do that, but I think that's because they are in the Pac-12 and they play late, and the East Coast bias doesn't get to them. But Dana Altman is one of the most undervalued coaches in the league. I mean, he's built a great program up there. You know,
Absolutely.
And they're long. You know, all their guys are like their wingspans bigger than their height.
Yeah.
And they got that kid Chris Boucher, who's like
Boucher.
He's like the JUCO transfer. He's like the only guy in basketball that has 100 block shots and 30 made threes.
Yeah.
They got some guys that can shoot it and they defend. And they have that like 3/4 court trapping defense that teams are gonna have trouble.
Yeah, I really feel confident about Oregon. Here's the thing about Oregon, and this is just Oregon athletics overall. When Oregon is put on that pedestal, when they are put under that spotlight to perform and to dominate, they do it very well. And you know, the last time I remember Oregon getting into the tournament and really having a strong team, they made it to the Sweet 16. I believe they made it to the Elite 8. This is back when I was in school. And they've been to the tourney since. But sometimes you can look at an Oregon team and just tell everything's clicking at the right time and all the stars are aligning. They're coming off of a Pac-12 tournament victory. They beat Utah by 30 points. That's in a championship game. By the time you make it to your championship game in your tournament, it should be pretty even, right? And they beat Utah by 30 points. So I'm looking forward to Oregon. The only thing that concerns me about Oregon, again, Pac-12 girl, watch them play Washington. Washington is a decent team. I love my alma mater, but they're decent this year. That was a tight game. It shouldn't have been that tight. And my concern is Oregon is the type of team that plays down at times to their competition. But because this is the tournament, they can only play up. These are only the best teams. So I think they'll fare very well.
Well, when you say that they played down to Washington's level, I assume they won the game.
They won the game.
How did they win the game? Because not every team is going to be on every day, every game. And that happens in the tournament as well. So I ask that because it's like if it was a sloppy game and they still won, then that
Right.
can show something that shows resiliency in the team. You know,
Yeah.
how was that win?
Right. And what I noticed about them playing down was Washington is young
Yeah.
and they can be careless with the basketball, right? Oregon was doing a lot of the same things with the basketball. They were not setting up their plays. They were not going through their progressions on offense. They were not setting up, in the half court.
Mm-hmm.
Once they slowed it down, they're magical. But they try to do what the other teams are doing, and it blows up in their face. But at the end of the day, to your point, Boucher is a rim protector.
Defense, yeah.
So their defense always kicks in. So, congratulations to Oregon. I'm very proud. Congratulations to the Pac-12. We're out here. We're official. It's going down. So before we get into the bracket, I just want to talk about some of the other teams that you guys are excited about. Obviously, your number ones are great, but there are strong teams, and there are teams that probably should have been number one, Michigan State, that did not get the bid. Who do you guys want to throw out there for our fans, to look out for as the tournament goes on?
Ladies and gentlemen, you gonna take this one? Or you want me to go first?
Go for it, man.
Hey,
Go for it.
Oregon State.
Oh,
Oregon State.
I'm not
Gary
mad at
Payton
it.
Jr.
I'm not
Oh,
mad
man.
at it.
15.9 points a game, and it goes back to what I'm saying. Your star. Now it's tournament time. This is when, just think of Davidson with Steph Curry. Now it's time for our star to rise for each team. Your star has to go out and play well. Your role players on the team, you have to go out and you have to play. You have to earn the bacon as well.
Yeah.
But here's a team. I know I don't have them getting past. Was it Oklahoma? I believe they put. Yeah, Oklahoma.
And that's
but
fine.
they could sneak by Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, they can score.
Yeah, to your point, Gary Payton Jr., son of the legend, former Seattle Supersonic Gary Payton, he's phenomenal. Gary Payton Jr., to your point, averages 16 points a game. He's very athletic. I think he made SportsCenter top 10 for his dunks 3 or 4 times this season. So right there, you have a superstar. He's electric. I think Oregon State is one of those teams that could shake things up if things go right for them.
Why not?
What about you?
Is a 3 a dark horse enough pick if I got them going all the way to the final?
If
It
you have
depends
them
on
going all the
who's
way,
the 3.
Is Miami.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a dark
They are
horse.
dark
Yeah.
horse,
That's
I love their coach Jim Larinaga. Ever since he had that run with George Mason years ago, I've just loved the guy. It's not just because his son coaches with the Celtics, and they have a nice senior backcourt, Rodriguez and McClellan. And, they just have a good defensive team. And I just love Larinaga in the tournament. I think they could do something. A team that I think maybe they're going to win their first round game, but then they have to run into UNC. But I think they can give UNC is all they can handle is Eddie Cooley's Providence Friars. And they are led by a a dynamic duo of Chris Dunn, who's going to be a lottery pick in a few months, and Ben Bentel. If you haven't seen this guy,
Okay.
man, his name is alliterative. His game sublime. He will drop 30 on anyone. He is sick.
I'll
and
make
he's
sure to look
just,
him up.
Oh yeah, he's like a power forward, maybe you would think because of the body, but he's added a 3-point shot this year, and he's got like 3 40-point games this year.
Oh, that's
he's
impressive.
ill.
That's a
He's
baller.
ill.
If you can
That's
put
a
up
ball.
40, if you can put up 40 points in a game, no matter what level you're playing on,
Yeah.
if I go down to 24-hour fitness and I put up 40, I'm doing it.
That's
okay?
20 shots.
The 40 is like
Exactly.
50 in the NBA.
Yeah.
And about 6 in the Burbank Rec League.
I want to go to that Miami pick because Miami is a Virginia to me, which we call a let-me-down team. There are a group of let-me-down teams in this bracket right now.
Villanova.
USC could be one. Villanova could be one. Xavier, it could be a let-me-down team to where it's like, oh, okay, we're back in this moment. Regular season, we're rock stars during the regular season, but then tournament time comes, and these teams, they get knocked out early.
Yeah.
I think Kansas is a team like that.
No.
But see,
Kansas a proven champion.
No, Kansas has definitely paid their dues. Kansas has put up some great numbers. They have a great basketball history. I can never sleep on Kansas.
Ever.
Never a surprise.
Ever.
But they lose in the tournament sometimes as a high seed.
They do. But I think a lot of teams have that trait. But Kansas is always strong. For me, the one team I'm going to throw out there that I'm looking at that they could be dangerous is Purdue. They have 2 7-footers that average a lot of points. You think about a 7-footer, okay, they're going to be a shot protector, but they have a guy by the name of A.J. Hammonds, I believe that's the young man's name. He's 7 feet tall, averages about 18 points a game. But the crazy part is he can shoot from the outside, right? So it's not like you're just dumping it down low and throwing it down in the post and he's going to go to work. He can take it out 18 feet. what do you do with a 7-footer that can take it out 18 feet? So Purdue's one of those teams, like, again, if all the stars are aligning, they have the tools to do damage. So I definitely think that they're going to be one of those teams that will have a strong run, not going all the way, but a very strong run. But before we get to our picks, my pre-tourney Cinderella is Gonzaga. Very happy to see Gonzaga back in the tourney. For those of you guys who keep track, no. If you keep track of Gonzaga, they have a very strong team. They've made 18 straight NCAA tourneys, and they started off the year kind of shaky, but they've ended the season very strong. They went through the WCC tournament, just blew teams out of the water. That's the team that you have to watch. The team that ends their season really well and also has a history of winning and being there. That's the team you have to watch. So I know that they have a history of being at the tourney, but I'm still going to call them the pre-tourney Cinderella. You don't like it?
I don't like it. You have to have a certain amount of, I don't
Mystique?
know. I'm going to say
It may not
cockiness
make it by
to sign a
season
deal
hall.
with HBO for a preseason show called March to the Madness. I was praying for them to lose to St. Mary's in that WCC.
They
final.
have a show on HBO?
Oh yeah, it's called
I haven't
March
seen
to the
it.
Madness.
Do
That
they?
takes some onions.
That just
as
goes
Bill
to
Raftery
show.
would say.
Onions.
That just goes to show they know we're a program that's going to make it at least to the tournament. They're a program that's at least supposed to make it to the Sweet 16.
Absolutely. Mark
That's
Few,
one of those type
They
programs.
haven't
Yeah.
beat anybody this year though.
Mark Few always runs a top-notch program out of Spokane, and it's hard. Here's the thing: I'm from Washington State. They're in the middle of nowhere, right? Like,
Really?
why would you want to go to Spokane, Washington? I don't know, but Mark Few always recruits good guys who want to be there, and they win 18 straight tournament appearances. You cannot sleep on Gonzaga.
Can't sleep on them at all.
So let's just get into it, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and open up our bracket. So viewers, we're going to throw it back and forth to the bracket, and then we're going to talk about a few of the picks here. So try to follow along. Like I said, take some notes. This is for you guys to help you make your picks so you can win a ton of money tomorrow at work, or, when you guys do your pot at work. So let's start with the Southern region. Number 1, Kansas taking on Austin Peay, 16 seed. Obviously, I have Kansas winning that one.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
Not at all.
The next one is a very interesting matchup. Your 8s and your 9s. Colorado at 8, UConn at 9. I have UConn taking out Colorado. Any disagreements?
Same here, but only I don't know that much about Colorado. I haven't had a chance to really research them, and so I took the safe pick with that one.
Yeah, and UConn, again, they're a team that has a history of
Being
winning.
Yeah.
And they won the national championship a year or two ago. So
Yeah.
they still have that in their system.
2 years ago, coming out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
Much like they're doing this year. And then if you remember, 4 or 5 years ago when they had Kemba Walker,
Yeah.
they came out of nowhere as a low seed too and won it all.
Absolutely.
So I really like them. I like them to upend Kansas in the next round. Oh,
Absolutely. So Cal.
absolutely, she agreed with me.
No.
Oh.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So Cal and Hawaii. Cal is ranked number 4. Hawaii is ranked number 13. Cal has a very NBA ready team, right? So I'm taking Cal. I'm a Pac-12 girl. I have a bias, so I'm going to take Cal in that first one. What about you guys?
Cal.
I
obviously.
got Cal going.
Cal.
deep.
Good deal.
They haven't always played to their talent level, but they finished the season strong.
Good deal. So Arizona's going to be playing the first 4 in team. So there's a game that will be played versus Vanderbilt versus Wichita State. This is a shocker, no pun intended, Wichita Shockers. But Wichita State has been in the tourney, just at large bids and whatnot, and now they're playing first 4 in. That's weird. I have Wichita playing Arizona, but Arizona beating Wichita.
Yeah.
No disagreements.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we're going to move on. This is where you guys are going to think I'm crazy. So number 3, Miami, your sleeper versus number
do it.
14,
Don't do it.
Buffalo.
Don't
I
do
have
it.
an upset
Don't
alert.
do
I
it.
have
Really?
Buffalo beating Miami.
Wow.
Wow.
That is
First
an
round
alert.
upset.
That's the bold one.
Bobby Hurley ain't there anymore.
And
It's got no magic.
I know you guys probably didn't pick this, but I'm going to tell you guys why at home. I picked Buffalo to beat Miami based on 2 things, and they're very basic things. Number 1, Miami acts like a team that's never been there before. I watched them today during the tournament
Let-me-down
selection.
team.
They're a let-me-down team. They're excited to be there. They're going to show up, and there's going to be bright lights, and they're going to have all this adrenaline, and they're going to come out the gate strong. But they're not going to have the discipline to close it out. And they're going to play a Buffalo team that won their conference championship 2 years in a row. So that is obviously a team that has some senior leadership, some chemistry that wants to be there, right? That's why I picked Buffalo.
Man.
I have to disagree with you on that because they're, like we said, they're a let-me-down team, but they have to win those games to build up to that we let you down now moment.
Well,
you know what I mean?
They get you on their side, and then they let you down.
Buffalo's a team that we go on their side with. Like, oh, that's an impressive win. They'll be shooting all over the place, all from half court.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be one of those type of games.
Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We have to definitely keep it moving because we got a lot of these teams to
There's a
get
lot
through.
of teams.
Iowa versus Temple. I took Iowa. They're number 7 seed versus Temple 10 seed. I just, went with the higher seed there.
The higher seed. Temple kind of snuck in.
Yeah, definitely snuck in.
Iowa kind of snuck in too. I mean, Temple started the year off terrible, but then they kind of came on 5-5. That's why they're coming a little under the radar. I like Fran Dunphy's Owls in that one. The Iowa kind of limped in. They lost 6 out of their last 8 games coming in. So
We'll definitely see what happens there. Number 2 Villanova versus number 15 UNC Asheville. Took number 2 Villanova. Can't argue there.
Another let-me-down team, but yeah.
sure.
I definitely think they're a let-me-down team, but I don't think they're going to lose that one.
No, not at all.
All right, so going into the round of 32, I have Kansas beating UConn. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Kansas beating UConn. Next up, number 5 Maryland versus number 4 Cal. I took number 4 Cal in that round of 32.
Maryland, let-me-down team. I took Cal.
Okay. Up next, Arizona versus Buffalo. Arizona will beat Buffalo. They're not gonna. The Lightning's not gonna strike twice. Let's put it that way.
I get the Shockers winning that one.
Okay.
Oh.
And then I have Iowa beating Villanova. Iowa beating Villanova in the round of 32. Moving on.
Iowa, yeah, that's where Nova lets me down.
Okay.
They Nova let you down.
That's where they let me
Temple
down.
beats them.
So Sweet 16 in the Southern region, Kansas versus Cal. I have to say, love the Pac-12, but this is where the buck would stop.
That's where the big boys come.
Yeah, it's where the big boys start playing. Kansas would beat Cal on my bracket. And Arizona versus Iowa, I have Iowa beating Arizona because Sean Miller's Arizona team this year is very impressive, but they lose big games. And they cry about it.
Wow.
And I'm not convinced that they will have everything it takes to close out during that round. I really don't. I think the Sean Miller's team at times loses their discipline. So I have them losing to Iowa, and it would be Iowa versus Kansas in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four. I have Kansas. I don't think anybody disagrees with me there.
Kansas.
Okay. So, yeah.
But I have Arizona beating Iowa. Arizona's a team to where they deserve to play KU. They deserve to play Kansas because they can win and get to
Arizona
grade
could
eight.
deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. They're not going to get it.
All
Arizona doesn't have the discipline this year, and I'm tired of Sean
hating
Miller.
on your Pac-10, Pac-12.
I love the Pac-12, but I'm just a little tired of Sean Miller crying. So moving on to the East.
I got Miami over Cal in that bracket.
Okay.
This guy's bold.
I'm going
You're-
deep
you're
in that
bold.
one.
You're
I'm
bold.
going deep in that
If
region.
you had social media, you could post it, and they could compare.
Man,
All right,
people would be
moving on
going
to the
crazy
East.
to you.
Number 1 seed UNC taking on. It's another first four in. So we have Florida Gulf Coast. I have them losing to UNC. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. USC, University of Southern California, number 8 versus number 9, Providence. I'm very happy to see USC have a team in the tourney because USC has struggled of late basketball-wise, but I actually have Providence beating them at the number 9 seed.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you why. Another team that's just happy to be there. USC has been very successful this year, but it's because they're young. They've got guys like Kamezi and Matu. They're big, young guys. But does that mean they know how to close out big-time games? They know how to perform when the lights are really on? I'm not convinced. I think this is a great step for USC. They should be extremely proud. If they go out in the first round, who cares? They have these guys for the next 2, 3, 4 years. They have plenty of time. USC will lose first round. Moving on, Indiana versus Chattanooga. Indiana is a 5 seed. Chattanooga is a 12 seed. I have Indiana moving on.
Indiana.
Who can disagree?
I got Chattanooga in that one.
Really?
That's my 12-5. 12-5 happens all the time.
Wow.
So I got to
Okay.
take Chattanooga in that one.
Okay.
All
right, moving on.
bomb it.
Kentucky versus Stony Brook. Kentucky's a 4 seed. Stony Brook's a 13 seed. They have a young man, Jamel Weaver, I think it is. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but Stony Brook's player has Warner. Thank you, Jamel Warner. He's averaging 30 points a game. Okay, 30 points a game. That's big time. But
he's won the Player of the Year in that conference all 4 years he's been there.
Excellent point.
But
at the end of the day, if you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers last year versus the Golden State Warriors, What did Dellavedova do to Steph Curry in that first game? He stayed on him like white on rice, okay? This is the NCAA tournament. If all I have is one game to lock down a player, I'm going to take 2 guys off the bench and tell them, your job the entire game is just to double team Warner. That's all you guys have to do because they have nobody else that can put up points.
Exactly.
So Stony Brook will go down in that one. Next up, Notre Dame versus, so another first 4 in team that's kind of weird. I have Michigan beating Tulsa to play Notre Dame beating Michigan.
I got Michigan.
And I knew you were going to have Michigan.
Every year there's a team that just squeaks in. Michigan definitely fits that profile that makes a run. And I really love their coach.
I knew you were going to do that.
And, you know, they played well the other day even without LeVert. So
I knew you were going to do that. I don't believe it, but Michigan has not impressed me this season.
Not at all. I stuck with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I have Notre Dame in that one. So moving on, West Virginia at the number 3 seed versus SF Austin. I took West Virginia with that one.
W.
Yeah. Number 7, Wisconsin versus number 10, Pittsburgh. Took Wisconsin in that. Number 2, Xavier versus number 15, Weber State. Took Xavier. Just went with the pick there.
Xavier.
Even though I love Weber State.
Yeah.
And Damian Lillard, you know, of the Portland Trailblazers went to Weber State. So they get good guys in there,
They
right?
do.
They get good guys, but I don't think they have enough. So moving on in the Eastern region, the round of 32, UNC number 1 versus number 9 Providence. For me, obviously UNC would take that one.
UNC moving on.
Moving on. Next
Providence
up,
going to give them all they can handle.
they'll give them all because Providence has a strong basketball program. They always have a good team. I just don't think they're good enough.
You mean
UNC.
USC, right? Because
No,
USC is going to win. Okay. Okay.
man.
Beat Providence.
I
But
already said my love for Providence.
Okay.
I got Providence beating USC. The USC's
When
not going to
when they come to play on defense, they're a tough team to handle.
Yeah. Number 5, Indiana versus number 4, Kentucky. Now, I'm going to just tell you guys, the NCAA tournament is a tournament for guards. Indiana's got some really strong guards, but I still don't think that they're going to be able to out-athletic a very well-coached team out of Kentucky. I just don't think it's going to happen. Coach Cal is that guy that just, you know, he gets those big-time players in there.
And Tyler Ulis is a baller.
Oh, yes. Big-time baller. One half
baller.
of the best backcourt in the nation, him and Jamal Murray.
And I'll talk about Kentucky and my theory
So
about why they're
God
going to
play.
lose the next round later. But moving on, Notre Dame versus West Virginia. West Virginia is the 3 seed. Notre Dame is the 6 seed. I took West Virginia. Number 2 seed Xavier versus number 7 seed Wisconsin. This is the one I looked at and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I really wanted to take Wisconsin because Wisconsin has had very successal seasons in the tourney recently. Okay, they always have a good core group of seniors. I really didn't want to go against Wisconsin, but I did. I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I did it.
New coach. Maybe.
I don't know why I did it.
Xavier has a lot to prove. They have to win this game.
Okay.
They just look at it like that. Just they have to win that game.
Well, they better, or else they're gonna owe me some money. So, so going to the Sweet 16 round, I have UNC versus Kentucky. I said UNC is going to beat Kentucky, and here's why. I have a feeling that Drake is going to show up for the Sweet 16 game because he has a very cool relationship with Coach Calipari out of Kentucky. Drake loves Kentucky, but Drake also curses whatever team he shows up to support. I have a feeling he's going to show up and they're going to lose.
But he's also signed to Jumpman. Jumpman owner Michael Jordan is a UNC Tar Heel.
True. He'll be there
so
for
maybe
that
he jinxed
game.
both of them.
I'm going with UNC. I mean, they're the higher ranked team, but I just think that Drake is going to show up for that game, and they're going to lose. So, Drake, if you're listening to this, or if anybody can get it to Drake, just don't come if you care about Kentucky. And then West Virginia
I like
versus...
Kentucky in that one. How
You
about
like Kentucky in that one?
I do.
I have UNC.
Yeah.
Well, if Drake doesn't come, they might have a shot. Xavier at number 2 versus Virginia at the number 3 seed. I took Xavier.
I got West Virginia in that. I love the way they play defense. They go 10 deep, and they just tire you out.
All right. So we're going to move on to the Western region. All right. You guys already know I'm wearing green. I love Oregon. Oregon number 1. I have them playing Southern. Now, this is the game that I would
In
love
that
to
last
be
region,
at.
you got UNC going to the Final Four?
Yes, I have UNC going to the Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to see Oregon play Southern because Southern University's got the baddest band in the land. So I want to see them travel their band to Spokane, Washington, and play Oregon. Oregon's going to have a ton of fans in Spokane. Oregon's obviously going to smack the crap out of them, but it would be a really fun game to watch. So Oregon taking down Southern. Next up, St. Joe's versus Cincinnati. St. Joe's has a history of strong guards. Great basketball program. I had to take them. Number 5, Baylor versus number 12, Yale. I took Baylor, and I didn't want to, but then I did some research about Yale. Yale is without their senior captain and one of their top scorers because of a rape allegation. So that is a big blow to their team, and they're dealing with a lot of stuff.
That hurts.
I don't think that Yale is going to be able to take down Baylor. So up next, Duke versus UNC Wilmington. Duke is a 4 seed. UNC Wilmington is a 13 seed. A lot of people picked Duke to go down the first round. I did not. I respect Coach K. I didn't have that one, so I have them moving on. Did anybody?
I think Duke's sneaky. When they get ousted early in their conference tournament, they usually come to play in the NCAA tournament.
That's a good point.
So I got them going to Sweet 16.
I mean, it's Coach K coached team.
Yeah.
They'll be all right. They're not going to lose to UNC Wilmington.
They're not deep, but they're talented.
They are talented, but they're also sneaky, and they play dirty, and they trip people. We see what you're doing.
Grayson Allen.
You need to stop. You need to stop tripping people, okay? We're tired of it. And JJ Redick, you can hit me up on Twitter. Your Duke players cheat and they trip people.
Just that one guy.
The allegation.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Dude increased his points per game 60 points this year, and he still didn't get the most improved player in the SEC. It's crazy.
It happens. Number 6, Texas versus number 11, Northern Iowa. I took Texas first year coach Shaka Strong. I like Shaka Strong, so I think the Texas is going to get that first round victory. Any disagreements?
No,
I agree. Right. UNI's a tough team, though. Battle testing the tournament the last couple of years.
Yeah. Texas A&M versus Green Bay. Texas A&M is at number 3. Green Bay is at 14. Took Texas A&M. I think they have a strong squad.
Yeah.
He and I both like A&M.
All right. Gary Payton the second, and Oregon State at number 7 versus VCU with a new coach. They're a number 10 seed. I said, I don't think they're going to have enough to beat Oregon State. I have love for the Pac-12. Oregon State will move on.
Yeah, and it's a game that Gary Payton is going to shine.
He's going to go out.
VCU. I'm a Virginia boy. I'm rooting for you, but I know how these things go.
I got VCU on that one.
All right, so potential player of the year, Buddy Hield. How do you pronounce his last name? Hield. Mm-hmm. Buddy Hield, in Oklahoma is the number 2 seed. They're taking on California State University, Bakersfield, that got into the tournament with a buzzer beater shot. They are just happy to be there. Oklahoma will beat them, no problem. So moving on to the round of 32, I have Oregon versus St. Joe's. Oregon moving on, no problemo. Number 5, Baylor versus number 4, Duke. I took Baylor for one reason. Rico Gathers, who's actually going to play in the NFL, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Rico Gathers is a basketball player, but he's going to go play in the NFL. All that sneaky stuff that Duke does, tripping players and trying to... Rico is that guy on Baylor. He sets the tone. He's the heart and soul of that team, and he's going to make sure they're walking out of there with a victory no matter what.
Yeah, and Duke just doesn't have the talent.
They don't have the talent.
They're not as strong as a Duke team usually is. So.
Yeah. And I just think that Rico Gathers is like, no, we getting this win. He's that guy. He's the difference maker. Number 6, Texas versus number 3, Texas A&M.
Uh-oh.
Here is where it gets interesting. First of all, I think it's going to be a great game. This is going to be great for the state of Texas. I think this is what Texas needs for the basketball scene. I have Texas, UT Austin at the number 6 seed taking down Texas A&M.
Ooh, big Shaka fan.
Texas
I love Shaka
A&M.
Smart. I love Shaka Smart.
I have Texas A&M. Daniel House put up 32 against Kentucky.
We'll see. Texas is...
They have good size on the perimeter, Texas A&M. I like that.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I have Texas, and I'm team Shaka Strong.
And they have a man-child in the middle and freshman Tyler Davis.
Okay. Well, again,
just
look
a
out.
freshman, but a man's body.
Look, we're giving you all the stats you need to make a really good bracket and make great picks. So, we're making sure that you guys have all the information you need. Now, number 2, Oklahoma versus number 7, Oregon State. Oregon State will lose. Oklahoma's too powerful. They have too much offense.
Yeah.
Too much offense. So moving on to Sweet 16, Oregon versus Baylor. I have Oregon beating Baylor because I don't think Baylor has enough on the offensive end to deal with Oregon's length defensively. They're going to create difficulties getting those shots up there. Baylor's not going to be able to get into a groove offensively. Okay, they're a great defensive team, but I don't think they have an offense that can really battle Oregon. So I have them going down. And then Texas.
How you doing?
Hey, we have visitors. Everybody wants to make a pick. I told him he has to wait till after the show's over. So number 6 Texas versus number 2 Oklahoma. I have Oklahoma beating Texas and moving on. And then in that Elite 8 to go to the Final Four, Oregon versus Oklahoma. I have Oregon beating Oklahoma.
I got A&M coming out of there.
I have A&M coming out of there.
Okay, so and this is good. We need to make sure that we have some different picks out there. So.
Just like you've been saying, they're just other teams are happy to be there. Oregon is happy to be a number 1 seed, so they don't deserve to make it to the Final Four because they're just happy to be a number 1 seed. Next year, future, yeah, but right now it's not their time yet. Texas A&M.
Oh, we gotta put some money on this. All right, we're gonna move on to the Midwest. UVA, your team. I have them playing a number 1 seed playing Hampton. I have them moving on. I love Hampton, the real HU, as they say.
The real HU.
The real HU. Number 8, Texas Tech versus number 9 seed Butler. I have Texas Tech beating Butler. Even though Butler has had some great runs in the tourney, I was torn. Those 8-9s are the hardest ones to pick.
Yeah, I took Butler.
And why'd you take Butler?
Like you said, the history. You have to have your switch ups, and I just feel as though Butler, they had a pretty strong run towards the end of the year, and Texas Tech, they're not a proven tourney team.
No, they're not.
So Butler's been in situations like this to where they feel as though they've gotten the right team. They're able to get an 8 seed.
Now,
to play
correct me if I'm wrong, and if we don't have the answer, we'll definitely make sure we have it at the end of the show. Is Huggins the coach now at Texas Tech?
No, it's Tubby Smith.
That's right, Tubby Smith. I knew it was an old college coach, very proven coach.
Yeah.
I like Tubby Smith. That's why I picked Texas Tech, because I said with that coach, I think that they'll be able to move on.
Huggins, West Virginia.
That's right. So my pick to go pretty far, Purdue at number 5 versus Arkansas Little Rock. I have them moving on. Let's see, who else? Iowa State at the number 4 seed versus Iona at the number 13 seed. I picked Iowa State. A lot of people like Iowa State. I've been hearing a lot of chatter about Iowa State.
There's a lot of athletes on that team.
I got them going to the Sweet 16, but I could also see them losing to Iona. They're not a very deep team. If you get George Niang in foul trouble, you can beat that team. And also, that's a game where defense is optional in that one because neither team defends very well.
But who on Iona is going to give Niang a fit enough for him to get into foul trouble?
A.J. English, my friend.
Okay. Well, interesting stat. Iowa has lost early in the tourney 2 years in a row. Okay. Like first or second round.
Yeah.
They tend to
Let me down,
choke.
team.
They tend to choke in the first round. But I also believe that if you have a history of doing something, at some point you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to do everything in your power to not let that happen again. I don't think it's going to be 3 years in a row for Iowa.
Law of averages.
Yeah, law of averages. Exactly. Thank you. Up next, we have my Washington State basketball team, Gonzaga versus Utah, a Pac-12 team. So I have my home state versus my home conference going head-to-head. Gonzaga's an 11 seed versus Utah. I took Gonzaga. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't get through. I moved ahead. Seton Hall versus Gonzaga.
Oh, okay.
Seton Hall versus Gonzaga. I took Gonzaga beating Seton Hall. Seton Hall has not been in the tourney in 23 years.
It's true.
They're happy to be there.
Happy to be there.
They are a freshman-laden bunch that doesn't really know any better, and they're aggressive, and they have an exciting scorer, and Isaiah, his last name is escaping me right now, but I don't know. Gonzaga really isn't that battle-tested. I mean, I know they have the history and all that stuff, but I don't think they have the guard play. I love Dumontis, son of Avitas. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be a stud in the next level, but I don't know. I just don't like them. I got the Hall on that one. It's too scrappy a team.
That's fair. I took Gonzaga because, like I said, I'm looking at how they finished the season, how they did in tournament play. I'm very and Seton Hall finished the season great too. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at Seton Hall, a team that hasn't been in the tourney in 23 years.
But they play in a much better conference. I mean, that's a 2-team conference. WCC. They only got one team in.
I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. So moving on, Utah, Fresno State. Utah number 3 seed. Fresno State is a number 14 seed. Taking Utah there. Dayton versus Syracuse. Syracuse, everybody was confused why Syracuse is even in the tourney. I took Dayton at number 7.
I took Syracuse. There's that upset.
That
A
matchup
team that's
zone,
been
you like
it.
that?
Dayton is a good team. Don't get me wrong, but they're one of those teams. They're like a bubble team. They can be beaten.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean bubble like obviously you're a 7 seed, you're gonna make the tournament, but they never beat anyone or really never did anything this season to stand out, to
Right.
make national news.
Right. That's fair.
There,
That's
there
fair.
was a lot of talk too about discounting the games that Jim Boeheim didn't coach, and I think that's kind of BS. I mean, if the guy gets suspended, well, yeah, it's going to hurt you in those games, and it's also going to hurt you in trying to get to the tournament. That's just how it is. But,
Yeah.
I mean, they did have 5 wins versus the top 50, so I think they won on that strength. But
That's true. Well, I have Dayton moving on, but I'm going to tell you, I had a tough time trying to figure that one out because Syracuse, again, the coach alone and their history, it's hard to go against them, but I did take Dayton. Michigan State versus Middle Tennessee. Michigan State is one of my favorites in the tourney. You'll see once I get to the end. I have Michigan State going all the way. I have them beating Middle Tennessee with the number 2 seed. I believe Michigan State deserved a number 1 seed, and I believe that Michigan State now has a chip on their shoulder, and they're pissed, right?
That's
and
dangerous.
they're a wounded dog that's owned. I hate to say own, but their owner is Tom Izzo, one of the greatest college coaches. If I had a son right now, I'd want him to play for Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
Right? Tom Izzo is a motivational guru, right? So Michigan State is a wounded dog. They're going to go very far. So moving on to the round of 32, UVA versus Texas Tech. I have UVA moving on. Purdue versus Iowa State. I have Purdue moving on. Gonzaga versus Utah. Like I said, I like Gonzaga. I'm going to have Gonzaga move on. Dayton versus Michigan State. I have Michigan State moving on. Again, Utah got beat in the Pac-12 tournament by 30 points.
Yeah.
That does not make me feel good.
I know. I think that's going to be an excellent motivational factor and an excellent teaching point for Larry Krystkowiak, and I love Jakob Pertl.
I still have them beating Gonzaga though. Cause you're picking it because Gonzaga, you're a Washington girl. You know you love being up there.
I believe in
Port
Markfield.
Orchard and Bremerton.
Don't try to call out my cities like you know where I'm from. Don't try to call out my cities like you know
But-
where I'm from.
I mean Utah, they're too strong, too strong.
I don't see it. Purdue versus UVA. I have Purdue beating Virginia.
Let me down team, exactly.
I
That's
have
where Virginia
I
loses.
have Purdue
I
beating
got,
Virginia.
I got
sorry.
UVA over Iowa State in that one.
And then I have Michigan State beating Gonzaga. And then in the Elite 8 to go to the Final Four, I have Purdue versus Michigan State. As I've said, I like Michigan State.
Michigan State,
will
yeah.
go on to the Final Four. So let's get
I
into
got
it.
Michigan State in that one, knocking off UVA for the 3rd straight year.
So let's-
Come on. That's crazy.
So let's get into it. Our Final Four is set. We have Kansas, number 1 seed Kansas versus number 1 seed Oregon. And then we'll have number 1 seed UNC versus number 2 seed Michigan State. Let's start off with that Kansas-Oregon game. You guys already know who I picked. I picked Oregon. But yeah, I did. Because, remind me of his name, Devontae Joseph from Kansas?
Oh,
No, that's not his name.
Devontae's right.
What's his last name? There's so many kids. Don't worry about
So
it.
many
They're
kids.
leading scorer. They're leading scorer for Kansas. I think when you're a leading scorer and you have that much tape now in the tourney, Oregon's going to figure out how to stop you. By that point, by the time they get to the Final Four, whatever you've been doing to be successful to get to that point, Oregon is a very well-coached team. They will figure out how to stop you. And with those trees they have down low, they're going to make somebody else on Kansas beat them. It's not going to be that young man.
They have scores by committee though. There's a lot of scores on that team. What I have down. Perry Ellis is one of the guys I thought he's their best player. You know, Perry Ellis, and they have great guard play, and that's like you said. The tournament is run by guards.
Yeah.
They've been in these games before. Like Oregon, this number 1 seed thing, this hype is going to get to them.
Well, you know,
It's going to get to them.
I have Oregon. And then to finish up, UNC versus Michigan State. I have Michigan State beating UNC. And I believe that Denzel Valentine, runner-up or possibly runner-up for Player of the Year. I think Buddy Hield's going to get it. I keep butchering his name. But I think Denzel Valentine's going to have a really big game. I think the lights will be on. I also think that Michigan State just has that that again, I'm all about tradition. I'm all about alumni. I'm all about Magic Johnson being in the stands. They got to win that game. I think the Michigan State, a Tom Izzo coached Michigan State team, will take down UNC. UNC to me is very soft.
I have UNC winning.
I got Kentucky beating Michigan State in that one to go to the finals versus Miami.
You
over
think
Texas
Kentucky's
A&M.
going to go that far?
I do.
And you have Miami playing Texas A&M?
I sure do.
You know
I have
what?
Texas A&M losing to Kansas.
I love Coach Calipari, but I'm going to tell you this. I lost faith in Kentucky early in the season, and you really shouldn't do that. But when they lost to UCLA, I said, oh, Kentucky doesn't have what it takes.
Oh, they're a different team now.
And I
early in
know,
the
I know,
year.
but that's ingrained in my head about Kentucky. How they
Monmouth was a good team earlier in the year.
True, and Monmouth didn't even make the
Didn't
tourney.
even make
so,
the tourney.
No bench mob, everybody, for all you guys.
Exactly. So before we get out of here, just final thoughts about the tourney. Just anything you wanted to get out there. We have to wrap up here pretty soon, but anything you guys want to leave them with, plus your social media.
I just can't wait to party. Going to the different bars around LA, hanging out, good crowd, good basketball. Find me at Cultured Athlete. I'm Brandon London. Thank you, guys.
I'm loving it. Praying for upsets. Don't take, if you want to win your pool, don't take Michigan State or Kansas or UNC, because everybody's going to have those. So use some imagination, pick somebody up. You can find me on AfterBuzz TV at Red Sox Rap 360, coming back here in 2 weeks.
All right, cool deal. Well, I'm your girl, McCall Hall. You can find me on social media when sports and pop culture collide at McCall Hall. And I'm telling you, the Oregon Ducks are going all the way. And I'm going to tell you why they're going all the way. Because Phil Knight, the co-founder of Nike, is a proud alum of the University of Oregon. And if we don't beat you on the floor, we'll beat you with the uniforms. We'll follow to Michigan State, but we'll be the flyest dressed team there. This has been AfterBuzz TV's Afterbracket, the buzz to the Final Four. Make sure you guys check us out on Instagram, on Twitter. We'll have the link for our group, so join the group, talk some smack, get involved, and we'll see you at the Final Four. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.